So hello once again, Helena. You've once again kindly agreed to do a short video with us this morning as part of the series of Zoom interviews we're doing with professionals working in specifically the mental health area. So I know you've done it in previous videos and people may have watched those, but for those who haven't, if you would just like to quickly just introduce yourself and the area you work in.
Thanks, Martina. And again, thanks to you and Cork Mental Health for inviting me to be part of this. So Helena Cogan is my name. I'm a resource officer for suicide prevention in Cork Area Community Healthcare with the National Office for Suicide Prevention. And part of my role is to coordinate and deliver training. Martina is also a trainer with us as well. And one of the key areas really is to work very much together and in partnership with our community partners in various different initiatives around mental health and suicide prevention. And so this initiative that Martina and Cork Mental Health are doing, I think, is really needed, and I'm delighted to be part of it.
Great. So I suppose we have spoken earlier on today about, the little things that people can do to look after their mental health. I suppose this video is going to be on more of a specific topic. And, whilst everybody is struggling with COVID and lockdown, etc., increased difficulties are put upon people to deal with, in particular, tragedies that happen in people's lives through loss, and they may be going through bereavement and grief in a very unfamiliar environment, I suppose. Just if you would like to share your thoughts around what people can do if they are going through a grieving process or are suffering loss or bereavement at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's a key area to touch on, and I think it's important to say we're just putting something together here just for 10 minutes, and so it's not really designed to be very in-depth in terms of information. These are just points maybe to consider and support information to consider when people are currently going through loss and bereavement. Particularly in COVID times. Martina and I had a conversation before we kind of started recording this, and certainly around bereavement and loss through death. Ireland has a very good and healthy culture of having very good, healthy rituals of supporting those bereaved and honouring the life of the person who has died.
Yeah.
But because of COVID now and all of the restrictions, those type of rituals are sadly unnecessary at the moment. They need to be restricted. And some people might feel that they're kind of robbed of the support that normally that they'd get. They're robbed maybe for the person who has died, that their life really can't really be honoured or celebrated as it should be, that they deserve because of the restricted numbers at funerals. And so it's very, very different times, and I think it's very important to acknowledge that. But aside from things that we can't do and that we are restricted in, we've kind of put together kind of just 2 slides around maybe what we can choose and what we can do for ourselves when we're going through, second, I need to share this first, sorry, when we are going through loss and bereavement. And so these are just some, they're not definitive by any means, they're just things that can help people. Okay, so when we're talking about bereavement and loss, we're talking about death, of course, but there's other losses as well. Like, for example, if families haven't seen themselves only over a Zoom call or on the phone, which is wonderful, and it's great that we do have that technology is supporting us. But there's also, we're not getting hugged either. We can't hug people, we can't touch them at the moment. And that's a huge loss. And people might have had plans to go abroad to see their loved ones and now they can't see them. So that's all huge loss, and it's very, very different. So it's just to acknowledge that. But things that we can consider when we're going through bereavement and loss, no matter what the loss is to us, is to acknowledge that we're experiencing loss. Our losses, it could be more than one loss that we're experiencing currently in the COVID times, COVID pandemic, to acknowledge how we're feeling. And so if we're feeling really bereft and angry and agitated and really feeling sorrow or confused or anything like that, know that that's normal under these circumstances, particularly if we're going through bereavement through death. or whatever, for whatever reason. It's hugely important to know that these feelings are normal, but they will move and they won't last. You know, it's part of the grieving process. Know that you're not alone, even though it might seem that you are. That I would invite you to consider connecting and really utilizing the family and friends and even neighbors that are around you. But if you feel you can't do that, then we'll come to other supports and the second slide that you can maybe avail of. It's important to remember to talk about the person who has died or the people who have died that you've known through COVID, and to acknowledge if that loss is true death. It's hugely important to talk about them, to remember them in a way that's really real and represents them, the things that you loved about them, the things that made you laugh about them, even the things that about them made you were annoyed with them or made you angry, because that's really acknowledging who this person was. So it's hugely important. Stay connected with people, as I said, especially for those who you trust and who you know care about you and truly have your back. You know, be very gentle with yourself. You know, eat well, breakfast, lunch, dinner, drink a lot of water. Make sure you're hydrated. Rest when you need to. So particularly if your kind of mind is restless and you're not sleeping at night, it's important to get, even during the day, if you kind of had a nap during the day, to kind of really catch up on your rest and your sleep. Your body needs to rest, because when someone dies, particularly unexpectedly, number one, or if you have been with someone or concerned about someone, they've died after a long illness or through an accident or whatever, our body experiences a shock. So our body needs to rest and repair from that shock also, you know. And even though, as we touched on, our rituals, our funerals and all of that now are very different, with reduced numbers of people attending, and now perhaps if we're lucky enough to view funerals and have them on live stream, while that's good, it's still not the same as having people around us, and that support structure isn't there. But there's nothing at all stopping us from creating private rituals. And now more than ever, they're very important. So even at home, even with the COVID bubble of the people that you have, even if it's online with families who are not maybe close to you, you can still have rituals. And what would that look like? It could be the person's favorite music, their favorite kind of story or film, or favorite memories or photographs, and bring them all around and really celebrate the life of the person and your connection relationship with them yourself in your own unique way, you know. And get support. That's the key thing. If you really feel you're not really doing well, that you're kind of stuck in the bereavement or grieving process, you know, it could be a time maybe to talk to your GP, for example, that he or she could help you and guide you. But it's crucially important to get support and talk about how you're feeling. And the next slide kind of gives you more information on that. Particularly for those who feel they're alone and they don't really want to, or they can't talk to people. The Samaritans is a fantastic organization that is available for anyone who is going through any type of crisis, any type of loss, no matter what it is, even if it's a loss of a beloved pet, for example. And I know animals have become very, very special to us now, you know, giving us company and comfort over this COVID period. But they're available 24/7, they're free of charge, and all you need is time and to ring that phone number 116-123. There's a new kind of texting service that's available to us, again, 24/7. If people kind of don't like talking on the phone, they could text a number. It's a 24/7 service, 50808. You text that, or there's a website if you want more information on that service. And it's for anyone who's going through a crisis, emotional crisis, big or small, whatever it is to them.
Okay.
And the HSE, in partnership with the Irish Hospice Foundation, has created a free helpline that's available Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for anyone affected through bereavement or loss during this COVID period. It doesn't matter what the loss or bereavement is, but they are there for you free. And the Irish Hospice Foundation, their whole service is about bereavement and loss. So they're real experts in the field of working and supporting people who are bereaved through loss. The last piece of information then are the Pieta services, and the HSE gives a lot of funding to Pieta House to support those bereaved through suicide specifically. So if someone's bereaved through suicide, it's really difficult. There's a kind of an element of what we call complicated grief that happens with suicide bereavement, or someone dying by suicide, for those of their family, friends, communities, neighbours, colleagues that are left behind. But there is real support available to them through the service that the HSE operates through Pieta House Services, and that's available 24/7, and that's the number there, 1-800-247-2247. And for anyone, any families particularly, or anyone close to someone who's died by suicide, the HSE through Pieta Services funds what we call a suicide bereavement liaison service. And that service, again, is free of charge, and it's available to people. And that liaison officer or person works with the family over a period of time, specifically trained in the traumatic events of suicide, or anyone affected by suicide. But even if anyone's affected by any type of thing that they're looking at in the media, for example, at the moment, even locally, nationally, internationally, that they're affected by grief and loss or trauma, you can ring any of these or text any of these support services and really talk about what's coming up for you or what's going on for you.
That's great, Helena. Thank you so much. I've no doubt that people will find that information, and in particular the list of services, very valuable. And I hope that if people need to, that they certainly will engage with them. Once again, you've done a few of these for us now. I just want to thank you for taking the time. It's great for us to be able to share your expertise and wisdom with other people. And as I said, I've no doubt people will benefit from it. So on behalf of Cork Mental Health, Helena, thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Anytime, Martina. Take care.